So for your similarities and differences section, the goal is to create a conversation between the authors in which they both answer your issue question, and you're going to highlight for your readers how those answers are similar and different. So for example, let's say my issue question is the internet good for learning? And I have two articles on that subject. This author says, no, the internet is not good for learning. This author says, yes, the internet is good for learning. So I'm going to first lay out what they disagree on, which is their fundamental answer to the issue question. And I'm going to use quotes as I do this. So I'm going to look for a quote where Nicholas Carr says the internet is not helping learning. And I'm going to quote that directly. Then I'm going to look for a contradictory quote from Andrew McAfee. And I'm going to include that in my paragraph. So I would lay out both quotes. Then I'm going to synthesize them in my paragraph. So I'd say something along the lines of, Nicholas Carr says, and then quote him. On the other hand, according to Andrew McAfee, and then his quote. And then I can't just leave it there, but I need to explain what they're disagreeing on. So I would go another step and say, based on these two quotes, it's clear that the authors disagree on whether or not the internet is good for learning. So I've synthesized those quotes. I've showed what disagreement that they highlight specifically. Then once I've done that, I want to find one or two other points of specific disagreement in their article. So they disagree on the overall point, but chances are in their subtopics, in their supporting details, there's other specific things they disagree on. So for example, let's say Nicholas Carr talks about news articles specifically and how they tie in. Well, if McAfee also mentions news articles, I'm going to use those quotes about news articles and explain here the authors specifically mention news articles. And maybe they agree or they disagree on whether news articles are helping people learn. So I'm looking for the overall message. Do they agree or disagree? But I'm also looking for specific aspects of their argument where they agree and disagree. Chances are they're going to disagree on multiple levels about several different things. So I want to create a connection there where I'm setting up pairs of quotes, a quote from each author. I synthesize those quotes to show what they disagree on. And then I find another disagreement, do the same thing. So you want 2 to 3 points of disagreement and then at least 1 point of agreement. Now finding the agreement may be a little bit harder, but chances are there's some common ground here. Even though these authors fundamentally disagree on whether the internet is good or bad for learning, they both agree that technology and the internet have an impact on human behavior. So that's a point of agreement. Whether or not the impact is good or bad is where they disagree, but they both agree that the internet is highly influential when it comes to learning. There might be other things that they agree on as well. So that's where you have to go back and read the articles, looking for similarities and differences. So you're comparing and contrasting their points with the goal of creating a conversation to enrich your audience's understanding of the different sides and how they can come together and how they disagree with each other. If you look at the sample papers, you'll see some good examples of a conversation set up between the sources.